subscribe to 13 Mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Jr., driver of the number 5 Koger Motorsports Camry. Welcome to Let's Talk Racing TV.
With Rockingham Speedway. Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peters, driver of the number 17 Toyota NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing. What's the matter over here, Jack? Oh goodness. We got Jack Dodson, Scott Allen, Corey, Cody
Carlton.
Hey, I've only read it once, so what can I say? And I hadn't had a chance to do my list up of who's going to be on tonight. But anywho, we're rolling. Everybody enjoy it. If not, oh well. Let's see, who all we got going here tonight? Just getting ready to pull that up.
Joey Gase, Adam Wright, Joey Gase, Chocolate Myers.
Adam Wright, Joey Gase, Danny Chocolate Myers, Tim Plogger, and Cody Carlton. Who's that guy? I haven't heard of him. But I reckon
He usually he makes enough noise at the racetrack, believe me.
tears up some stuff, does he? Alright. I reckon I better give Adam a quick call here then. Why don't you do a quick intro about yourself there, Cody, while we're waiting to get that done.
Well, I started racing when I was about 16 and been racing ever since, and don't think I'll ever stop, honestly. I like going fast and turning left. I used to drag race and got bored with that, so I figured I'd try circle track racing. And
So what all have you driven?
well, I started out in junior dragsters, and then I started racing arena cars and progressed in that pretty well, and people started realizing, you know, this kid's got some talent, and got put in a Pro 6 car at Langley Speedway and raced those, and I raced the Wing Champ karts also, and that's pretty much it. And now I'm back in arena cars for the winter.
So how's the arena season going for you? Well,
It's good. We won the first race. Unfortunately, we got crashed out of the top dog on about the 5th lap, but
I'm going to put you on hold and switch over to the main
go
show.
back next week and
All right,
try to take home both the trophies.
There's nothing blinking here.
You don't have line 2 blinking?
Nope.
Somebody unplugged the phone?
I know I wasn't.
Well, that sucks. Now you gotta do a quick find the cable.
Daggone computer store.
My grandson works over in this section playing around, so I never know what he's gonna mess up. Oh goodness.
Okay, it's blinking now.
Okay, go ahead and push it and hit speaker.
Welcome to Let's Talk Racing. Is this Adam Wright?
Yes, sir. This is Adam.
How you doing tonight, Adam? Hello?
Try again.
It's blinking.
Technical difficulties here.
Push the speaker. Still there, Adam?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, well, we were having a little technical difficulty there. So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting here at my house looking on the computer for some. I got to order some tools at work, so just kind of chilling out, getting ready to eat some dinner.
All right, but now tell us.
Oh, there we go. Food already.
No, we're not going to go to the food thing.
Oh, okay.
So tell us about your season this year. I know you were with the 31 truck. Tell us a lot about what all went on with the season and how things went.
Let's see. I was with, first off, I was with Richard Petty Motorsports first, maybe a fifth of the season, doing Michael Annette's nationwide team up until Texas. And the 31 truck, always a good truck to watch in the truck series. They had a job opening to be the car chief, or truck chief, as we call it over there in the truck series. And they called me up and offered me a good deal. It was, going to win races and going to run for a championship, so it was hard to turn down, you know what I mean?
You got that right.
Yeah, so I went over there. My first race was Charlotte. It was awesome. James Busher's a heck of a wheelman. He's going to, whatever he does next year, he hasn't really announced, but whatever he does, he's going to definitely perform and run well. This was my first stint in the truck series. I spent eight seasons traveling in the Cup Series and one in the Nationwide. So it was a new deal. The trucks are really fun to watch, but also very aero sensitive, and it performs for good racing. And we won 2 races. It was awesome, and we thought we had a chance to run Crafton down there in the championship, and probably had a good shot at it. Had the fastest truck at Talladega a couple weeks ago. Got caught up. It was us and Ty Dillon, by far the best, fastest performing truck there. One of them plate racing deals, So after that, we kind of said to ourselves, we probably aren't going to win this championship, so let's go try to win some races. And everywhere after that, we unloaded really well, right off the truck, a lot of speed in the truck, and maybe cautions don't fall our way, or kind of over-adjusted our truck at Phoenix, running second, first pit stop, and kind of ruined our night. But it was fun. It was a good season. I'm glad it's over with, and looking forward to what 2014 had in store.
Now, you're over at Turner Scott with everything that's going on over there. They got a lot of changes going on. What's in store for you and the 31 truck for next year?
Right now, I don't know. All I know is we are preparing 2014 Chevy Silverados with the new nose and tails. We're going to Yuma out in Arizona. It's a 3-mile track. So we go there December 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, testing for, we got one truck that's got the whole body you can move an inch either way. We got another truck that we're working on underbody stuff. So right now we're just trying to prepare ourselves to have 2 to 3 more good truck teams that are going to compete for a championship.
So, with all the changes there at Turner Scott, do they have any of their drivers lined up for the trucks? Now you don't know what James is going to do for next year, but are there any of the drivers lined up for it or anything?
Only driver I know of for sure is Jed Burton. I'm pretty sure he's running a full truck season next year. Possibly some nationwide races. It'd be good to see him get back in a nationwide car. He ran Kentucky nationwide for us and ran really well. So that kid's got a lot of talent. He's going to win a championship. Probably every series he competes in. He's got to get a little more experience and get some more laps. You know what I mean?
All right. Now you said you had been around and did the 8 years with Cup and 1 year with Nationwide. Tell everybody a little bit about your background, where you got started, and how you got to where you are today.
I got started I was born into this. My dad, Pete Wright, as everybody knows him, he was working for Taylor Bonnie's team in 1984. They won the championship that year. He was in Dover, Delaware when I was born, so he wasn't there for my birth. So, yeah, I got started with my dad. Racing's such a good thing. It's a part of being an American, I think, and it's part of my life. That's all I know. So, I guess how I got started was I was hopefully on the move to play college baseball and tore my knee up, and it's kind of like, all right, so my dad put a lot of money into me getting better at baseball throughout my years. So I said, what am I going to do other than playing baseball? So I ended up going racing, and I started in the end of 2002 and been going ever since. So I love it. I don't know what else I do in life.
Now, you probably know my son. He's with Jeff Gordon's team, Lee Dodson.
Yes, sir.
All right. You do, of course, know we're all kin to each other, right?
Yeah, I'm learning. I actually talked to my grandmother tonight, and she explained a little bit of it to me.
Well, it's funny that you brought up about the baseball. That was what Lee was going to do, was college baseball. That was the big thing for him. He was very much into baseball, but then I never knew in my wildest imagination he would take an interest in going racing, and that's what he's doing, and I think that's great.
I mean, it's surprising how many of the drivers and crew members out there that they originally had plans for collegiate sports, and then all of a sudden they're in racing.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Richardson pops to mind. He was playing football down in Texas and screwed up something in him, and he wound up hopping in Nationwide and Cup.
Yeah, I've worked many seasons with Jackman, Sean Pete, ex-hockey player. A couple of gas guys I know come from college football, one from the Rutgers. So yeah, it's I guess racing still needs athletes, and by no means am I an athlete anymore. I'm more of the, I guess you call it, specialist, but I don't do that much physical labor other than a little wrenching here and there. But most of the time it's pointing fingers, which is just fine too. Takes mental strength, right?
Now you got Pete Wright as your dad, and I know he's got to give you a whole lot of insight about things that's going on. What kind of things has he helped you with?
I have to say number one is, and I worked with him for 2 years at MB, basically under him at MB2 Motorsports back with Joe Nemechek.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I hated him. I rode to work with him.
I was gonna say, it apparently it wasn't that good.
I was 18 years old. I still lived at home. So it was an hour to work and an hour home from work every day, riding in the car with him, just because I couldn't afford to drive. So I rode with him. And attention to detail is the main thing I learned from him. We safety wire a lot of things on race cars, and my dad always, if I would safety wire something, it didn't look right or wasn't pulling the right direction, he would cut it off and make me redo it. And that says a lot. And another thing he always told me was, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. And I still say that to my guys.
That's a good one right there. Yeah.
Well,
you got 100 reasons to run bad, but you don't have 100 reasons to look bad. So take care of your equipment. Attention to detail goes a long way.
well, you got a great guy there to be a role model for you, because I think the world of him. I talk to him a lot, and I think the world of him. But you're probably right. It's probably hard to work for your dad like that, I guess.
Yeah, I worked for my dad for the summer one time. It didn't work very well.
It was definitely hard to work with him. That was the only time I worked for him, basically. Back when I was at DEI and we ended up buying MB2/Again Racing, we worked together then. And then it wasn't 2 years later, Ryan Pemberton hired me to be his frame mechanic on Brian Vickers. at Red Bull, and we worked side by side again. So after that, it wasn't no big issue, you know. But when I worked for him and he bossed me around, then I had to go home with him. That was always tough.
You know, and the thing about it is, I've heard him say in the past how, you know, it's in his blood. He just can't get. At one time, I thought he was getting out of racing, or he was going to stop being on the road, and then all of a sudden, he's back with Chase Elliott, right, you know, going on the road with them.
Yeah, he did that a long time ago. I guess when he was crew chief and Darryl Waltrip, he was at one point he was crew chief / general manager, and he quit being a crew chief to come off the road to focus more on the business side. And he did that for about 6 months. The next thing I know, he's like, "I'm going back on the road." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Who's going to crew chief?" And he said, "I'm doing it." He took care of that, and he likes traveling, I guess. And I enjoy it too. It becomes part of your ways and what you are used to, you know?
Yeah.
You're not the week.
Well, Adam, we're going to let you get back to what you were doing. We appreciate your time, and hopefully we can get back with you as soon as we find out what all is going on at Turner Scott for next year.
Yeah, all you got to do is read Gase. That's how we find out most of our stories.
Yeah, that's what. But Lee says I find out here before he finds out at Hendrick's shop.
Yeah. If you hear anything, you let me know.
Okay. All right, I'll let you know. I'll send you a text or something.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Bye. Well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird that his story is similar to Lee's, you know. And here we are. We're all, you know, and we're all cousins. I mean, you know, it's been there for years. I mean, this is not something that just started out. But
Fun.
Pete's told me, you know, he's told me 100 times that, man, I can't do this. You know, I can't keep doing this. But he keeps doing it. You know,
How old is Pete?
Pete is in his late 50s, and I mean he's got bad knees. He's, you know,
What is he? Is he car chief or something? Or?
No, he basically just does suspension stuff for, and he works in the fab shop at Hendrick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Joey.
So
Good. You ready to be on the show? All right, stand by. I'm going to put you on hold and we'll get you on the main line. All right. I reckon I should announce who I am sometimes.
yeah, that'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah. I did that for Adam, but I forgot to for Joey.
Good afternoon, Joey Gase. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. This is Jack Dodson. I got Scott Allen and Cody Carlton and Roger Brehm here to talk with you tonight. So, what are you doing now that the season's over?
Right now I just been hanging out at my local shop, getting some things done, and working hard on sponsorships for next year.
So how does things look for next year as far as what you got going on for next year? Are you going to be back with the 52, or you got something else going on, or what?
Right now, yeah, it looks like I'm going to be back with the 52. A lot of it all depends on sponsorship and see what we can all get going for next year. And we have a lot of things in the work right now, so we'll have to wait and see.
All right, you tell us a little bit about this past season. I know you've had a lot going on this past season, and tell us how things went, and give us an overview of the season.
It was an up and down season for sure. We had a lot of hard times. It started off really hard, not being able to make Daytona. So you start basically the rest of your season, then you won't be able to be locked in basically. And then you have to race your way into all the races. And then in the middle of the season, it started to pick up and everything was going great. It went down a little bit, and here at the end, it waited on a really good note again. So overall, I would say it was a so-so season for us.
With you being with a team that has a very, very limited budget, how do you go about getting? Do you do any testing or anything to help you out with that, or is it basically you just have to go to the track with what you got?
A lot of it, you just go to the track with what you got, especially when we're so limited on money. We didn't have any big sponsors last year. This season, though, we're looking at to be going to Daytona in January for the open test down there. They're going to be changing a bunch of the rule packages this year for Daytona and Talladega. So a lot of times you just show up to the track and you got what you got.
What's it like working for a legend like Jimmy Means? Jimmy Means has been around forever, and I've been to the racetrack and been around him at certain times. He just seems to be a guy that's on an even keel all the time.
Yeah, it's great working with Jimmy. So many guys know him, and so many guys have so much respect for him, and it really helps me also. And Jimmy always gives me advice, and he knows what to do with the car always. I mean, all these other guys have to throw him up on the and where Jimmy, he knows what wedge is going to be at by just turning the wedge wheel, you know. It really helps a lot, and it helps us get tires also, too, honestly. You know, before they get maybe 1 or 2 sets a week and 2 at the most, and the rest, if we run the whole race, we have to get used sets from either the top nationwide teams or the cup teams. And Jimmy goes around searching for tires, and if Jimmy wasn't so well respected, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Now, where did you get your start in racing, and give us a little background on where you got started and how you got to where you are today.
All right, well, my dad raced locally here in my hometown at Cedar Rapids, and I've always been around racing and always loved helping my dad, and always just loved watching him. And then when I turned 8 years old, my dad bought me my first racing go-kart, and then I started to race those and being successful and started to travel. And then when my dad retired, the next year I actually started racing his car at the age of 14, and then at the age of 16 I was the youngest ever to win the track championship in late models, and then I've been working my way up ever since then, and a bunch of track records, and just been working my way up.
So you run a lot of late models. Did you run them all around the Grand Rapids area up that way, or did you do any traveling or whatever?
Yeah, I raced a lot at my local track at Hawkeye Downs in Cedar Rapids, and then after I won that same year I went down to New Smyrna, Florida for speed weeks down there. We raced for over a week straight, and we got 5th in points down there. That was huge. And then the following year I raced for a late model development team, SS Greenlight Racing, with Butch Miller, and that's when I got a lot of track records and poles. And then the following year, I did some K&N and USAR racing, and I raced for Benny Gordon. And then Benny Gordon hooked me up with Go Green Racing, and that's what first got me into the Nationwide Series.
Well, so you used to drive for Benny Gordon in the, was that late models, or was that in the Hooters Cup?
That was in Hooters Cup when I drove for Benny Gordon.
Oh. He doesn't look that old, I'll tell you what. Joey, you look like you might be 20, 21 years old. How were you driving in Hooters Cup?
Yeah, when I was driving Hooters, how old was I? I guess I did my first start with Benny when I was 17, and then the following year I was 18 years old. So I don't even know what the age limit is in that series, to be honest with you.
I don't think there is one. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at one of your pictures on Facebook where you're in your little green and black outfit here. You barely look bigger than a minute. You'd be a perfect race car driver. Maybe what, weigh 130, 140 pounds?
Yeah, I'm about 145 right now.
So what are your plans for the off season as far as personal things that you're going to do? Are you going to just try to get away from the racing for a little while and recharge your batteries to be ready for next season?
I mean, yeah, you always want to, when you're going for so long, so straight, you'd be like, man, it'll be nice to be at home, and then about 2 weeks into it, you're like, I want to go racing again. You start getting bored, but I'm just going to be hanging out with my family and friends and my girlfriend and just be searching for sponsors. And I also do iRacing a lot online to try to keep sharp, and that's always just a lot of fun in general to do too.
So will you, do you go back to the Charlotte area to live, or do you just stay in the Cedar Rapids area?
I'm in the Cedar Rapids area right now, but sometimes during the winter I'll go back to the shop with Jimmy or whatever team I'm with and help them get the guys out in the shop. Last year I went up with Jimmy for about a week and help get the cars ready for the following year. So.
Well,
No, I was just working in the shop. I don't know if he. What do you have a specialty in the shop that you do?
I just do a little bit of everything. Whatever Jim told me to do, I would do. The installing seats, the cleaning, to cutting off all the welds, and just.
If there's time to lean, there's time to clean, right?
Oh yeah. Always something to clean or organize or do on the car. That's for sure.
How much do you listen to Sports Center and stuff like that on TV?
Not really a whole lot, to be honest. I do every once in a while, but.
Did you hear the thing Donovan McNabb said the other day about drivers and crew members aren't considered? He doesn't believe them to be athletes.
Believe it or not, I did listen to that, and I couldn't believe he said that. And when he said he doesn't know what the driver does in the car, I mean, obviously you shouldn't be making that kind of a comment when you actually have no idea to begin with.
I wish I could take and talk to Donovan McNabb. I had Tony Dorsett with me a few years back at Richmond, and he proclaimed to me, he says, we go out there and play. On TV it looks like we've got a lot of time in, but it's more huddles and talking, and the actual time you do anything is only for 10 seconds. He says, these guys, when they're out there at the track, the crew members especially, he could not believe how much these guys work they put in. And it just totally blew him away. He says, I could not keep up with them, and they consider me a world-class athlete. He says, I know better. I watched them guys, and he was, I forget whose team it was, little short guy who was driving for Petty for a while back. Oh, goodness. But it doesn't matter. But, yeah, I told him, because I used to run late models, I can go outside and play 2-3 hours of tennis continuously. But if I go jump in my race car and run a 20 or 30 minute race, 100 laps long, I'm more tired after that 100 lap race than I was after 2 or 3 hours of playing tennis.
Yeah, people who just never been in that shoes before just don't understand it. How physical it really is, especially if you have a loose race car or it's a rough race track, and you just never quit. And I mean, not only physically but mentally, you can just be so tired after a race, just mentally, because you're just putting so much work into it, and one little miscue, you're in the wall. So.
well, we're gonna let you get back to whatever you were doing tonight, and hopefully we'll get you back on here soon, and hear about what all is going on for you for next year.
All right, well that sounds great. I just have to thank you guys for letting me be on the show, and I just have to ask everyone to, if they're not already an organ donor, to please look into it and really think about it.
That's a good thing too.
I got a problem. If I never die, how am I going to donate more organs? I'm going to live forever. Drive everybody crazy.
All right, man. But we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you again, and keep us abreast of what's going on with getting sponsors and everything, so we can get you back on here and talk about it.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye,
Appreciate
it. Fun stuff.
Yeah, he's a different breed. I mean, he's a young guy.
How old is he?
I would say he's in his mid-20s.
Yeah, he was pretty young.
I was sent
he
this
looks
message.
I know he drove for a few teams this year.
Some of the stuff he couldn't talk about yet. And we'll have him turn. We'll tell you tomorrow. We're just going to keep you in suspense for 24 hours.
Then they'll tell us.
Well, there's in that bottom thing that you were showing me there. There's also another group there's another group that's really into that situation too, from what I understand.
Well, you can speculate on what.
Okay, well, I'll speculate on it. The word I got is Chase Elliott is
talking to Napa.
Has got Napa in his back pocket already.
Really?
And he's got Rick
Hendrick.
Hendrick.
They didn't want
he's got Rick
Nationwide or truck though.
It ain't gonna be just Nationwide and truck. There's gonna be it's gonna be a group deal to start off with, and from what I'm hearing, Rick Hendrick's involved. JR Motorsports is involved.
No, but whose cup car would he get in?
There is 2 of his cup cars are not covered for the whole season. Which doesn't mean anything to Rick Hendrick. I mean, that doesn't mean anything to Rick Hendrick at all. But what I'm saying is,
he's not going to pull one of his 4 drivers out to put.
No. I'm saying,
although he can run a few races under the rule.
Well, what I'm saying is, the deal is going to come with him to progress along with him, but he's going to start out with it in one division, and it's going to be spread between the whole organization. The sponsorship is going to be spread between the whole organization. In other words, you'll see a possibility of, let's just say Dale Earnhardt Jr. doesn't have one race covered under the sponsorship.
Right.
That sponsor would go on there.
Can they put Chase in a cup car?
They can, but they won't.
Because he's a rookie?
They can.
No, I'm talking about under the
he is
four car rule.
He is approved for.
Yeah, he's already been racing enough. He's already approved.
No, I'm not saying that can he drive it, but will NASCAR allow Rick Hendrick to put another car?
Yeah.
No, he won't.
They'd have to
because
get
I
rid
know
of
there's a rule. Some people that are rookie.
Kelly Earnhardt Elledge
This is Roger.
is involved in this too. So JR Motorsports involved.
Yeah, but JR can't run it because Dale Jr. owns it.
Stand by.
He's part owner, and he can't run a cup car.
Yes, he can. He can have a car as long as it's not registered to Rick Hendrick. He can have a.
That's like Tony Stewart's team. Okay.
Yeah, but
they're running.
There's
Hendrick
totally
stuff.
right. I understand that, but the way I understand it, even if a cup driver drives for Rick Hendrick like Dale Jr., he cannot own a cup car.
No, that's not true. You can't do that.
I think there is
No.
because Dale had made
That'll be something to
somewhere.
research for later time. Chocolates on.
Oh.
Jeez,
Well,
Louise.
ask him. He'll know.
Yeah, ask Danny. Ask Chocolate. He ought to know.
Good afternoon, Mr. Myers. How's it going?
Hey guys, how are you?
Is his dad behind him or something? I mean, everybody calls him Chocolate. What's this Mr. Meyer stuff?
Well, you know, it's an honor to have him on the show, and I'm gonna give him the respect of calling him Mr. Myers.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, you don't need to do that, but that's whatever you want to do.
Well, it is an honor to have you on the show. I'm the one who's been bothering you, trying to get you on the show, and
Don't hold that against the rest of us, Chocolate.
Chocolate, I don't know if you remember who I am, but if I told you a few stories, you would all of a sudden start remembering who I am.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to hang around with you and Jerry Haley a lot at Richmond.
Oh yeah, okay.
he didn't sound like he was too impressed with you.
There was some fun stuff that we did, but I'll leave that for another story.
I'm gonna call you Chocolate now. But anyway, you know, you've been around this sport for such a long time, and I've listened to you on Sirius daily. I mean, it's a daily thing that I listen to you on Sirius. What are some of the things you see from the time that you were into racing as a crew member? What kind of things do you see now that are different? Do you believe the drivers from then would be successful today, or would these drivers today be successful then?
I got to tell you what's different. Everything is different. I'm not going to say it's bad. I really enjoy what we've got today. I like what's going on. Sure, could the drivers that do this today have done it back then? If they could afford to, they would have. But the biggest thing that's changed in our sport is now that the people that are doing this actually get paid to do it. The drivers are being able to make money. The crew guys are being able to make some money. You can make a decent living doing this. That's something back in the day you couldn't do. You know, Richard Petty right now is the king of our sport. Richard Petty is like 80th on the all-time money award list. So, you know, the guys that did it back then did it because they had desire, dedication, and determination. And that's kind of tough today because today, a lot of the people that are doing it today have desire, dedication, determination, but they also get a pretty good paycheck with it. So it's a big difference between back then and today.
But in the days that you were coming along in the sport, the early days at RCR with Dale Sr., a lot of those guys worked on the cars. They knew more about the cars than what the people or the drivers do today. And the big thing today is to get a ride, you have money, you get a ride. It's not how good you are. It's just if you got the money, you got the ride.
Well, yes and no. It's going to take you a little bit of money to get a ride, but you're going to be able to have to do this, or you're not going to keep that ride. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about. I think the guys coming in here today that can afford to get a sponsor, sometimes they bring a sponsor in with them. Well, that's all good, and that might get them in the door, but it won't keep the door open. You've got to be able to perform in this business, or you're not going to be able to stay around here long. It's very expensive to do this, but it's also very competitive as well.
And you're in a situation there, well, I mean, you're not there now as a crew member or anything, but you're at RCR. You've got two young guys I think are getting a kind of a bad rap because they're saying they're being given everything, but in turn they have the talent to drive those cars.
Yeah, look, these are two kids that I've known since the day they were born. I know what they're all about. I know their beliefs. I know their mom and dad, and I know how they got here. Were they fortunate because Richard Childress is their grandfather? Absolutely. But they have been able to work hard to get to where they're at, and they're able to perform in those race cars. Look, guys, to be quite honest with you, you can't buy a championship. And these boys all have championships. They have a championship in the truck, they have a championship at ARCA, have a championship now in the Nationwide Series. I don't care who you are, how much money you got, you can't buy that. Look, most of the car owners out there today have the ways and the means. The cars that they're driving today, Austin Dillon's car is no better than the next guy's car or the next guy's car. You cannot outdollar the other guy. You've got to be able to outperform the other guy. And that's what the Dillon boys have been able to do. They've been able to outperform, and that's a good thing. I do think they get a bad rap. I listen to it every day on Sirius XM NASCAR radio. Some of the comments are, just to be quite honest with you, are they're wrong and they're hurtful. What I've always talked about is the backstory. A lot of people don't know the backstory. I do know the backstory. I remember going to Richmond in 1969 with Richard Childress, and the truck blew up right as we got to the racetrack. I had to stay in Richmond overnight. Richard had to get home because he had to go to work the next day at Douglas Battery, a battery manufacturing plant in Winston-Salem. He worked all day long, borrowed another truck, and drove back to Richmond that night so we could get the race car home. That kind of desire, dedication, determination got him to where he's at today. And if he wants to help those grandkids, he has every right to do that. And I hate it that some people just don't see it that way.
The situation that happened at Martinsville with Kevin and Ty, did that ever really blow over to the point where you feel that, you know, Kevin, I think he crossed the line.
Yeah, I would say so too. But did it hurt feelings bad enough to?
Yeah, is it something that Richard Childress, and I don't see Richard Childress holding a grudge that way, but I'm just saying, is it something that's going to be there forever as far as how they feel about it?
Yeah, and guys, I would not be the guy to answer that question. I wasn't in on any of that conversation. I know Richard Childress, and I know what he's all about. I know what kind of guy he is. And I certainly know Ty and Austin Dillon. I do think this. I think that whatever happened at that next day in Martinsville when Richard Childress had a meeting with Kevin Harvick, I think they got some things straightened out. Because from that day throughout the rest of the chase, Kevin Harvick ran really, really good. He did a great job. The crew guys stuck together. They were close to winning a championship with Kevin Harvick. And the interviews that I've heard Richard Childress talk about, a lot of people have asked him, talk about some of the most positive things and the most negative things. And Richard Childress says they're all positive. I don't dwell on the negative. I dwell on the positive. Things happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. I want things to be better, and I won't go back and talk about those negative things. So I thought Richard did a great job with that, and he's pretty much laid his case out there. And Kevin Harvick, Kevin Harvick apologized. I don't know what he's done personally, and that's really none of my business, but I think that Kevin Harvick and Ty and Austin Dillon, at the end of the day, are okay.
Now, you started way back in the day with Richard Childress. I know you were hanging out at Bowman Gray and racing over in Bowman Gray or whatever. How did you come across Richard Childress in your early days to get to the point where you were with him for all these years?
Well, to lay it all out for you, to let you know the honest to God's truth, you know, as kids growing up, we were kids that were able to go to Bowman Gray Stadium. This is way early. This is when we were young guys. You know, my dad was one of the early pioneers in the sport. My dad lost his life at Darlington in 1957. I grew up around the racetrack. I grew up around Bowman Gray Stadium. And I lived on the south side of Winston-Salem with my mother and my grandmother and my uncle and my brother. And on Saturday nights, I would walk to Bowman Gray Stadium. Myself and Richard Childress, we became friends there. We sold peanuts and programs and popcorn at the grandstands at Bowman Gray Stadium. Later on, we had race cars at Bowman Gray Stadium. And Richard didn't stay there long. Richard wanted to go big-time racing. And in 1969, Richard Childress built him a Grand American car, a Camaro. And, you know, I was right out of high school, and he said, I need somebody to race with me. And I said, well, I'm going. So we started out, and we went to Daytona in 1969. Later on, went to Richmond and some more racetracks, and then at Talladega in 1969. That's when Richard Childress Racing was formed. That's when Bill France said, boys, I need somebody to stick around here and race on Sunday because the Cup guys are not going to. They're on strike. And Richard Childress stuck around and raced, and, you know, the rest is kind of history.
What, you know, the personal aspect that you have with him, I mean, you have a lot of loyalty to him. He must be the type of guy that really exudes that to make you want to be as loyal to him as you have been.
Well, I'll be honest with you. It's really a little bit different than most people think. I may go a month or two and not even talk to Richard, not even see Richard. I don't have to. We're great friends. I've got a job to do with the Richard Childress Racing Museum. I do that. I make sure that the museum is in good shape. I do the best I can there. But Richard and I do have a special friendship. I don't, like I said, I don't hang around with Richard. I don't do a lot of things with Richard. I respect him enough to not ask him of anything like that. And we go about our separate ways. We have our separate lives, but we're dear friends. And I know if I need to call on Richard Childress, I can. And if Richard Childress needs something from me, all he's got to do is call. But we don't have to do that. And I think that's what makes our friendship so strong. I'm not up in the front office bothering him, and he's not on the phone getting me to do things, and we have a great relationship. And I tell you, guys, you know, a lot of people don't know the backstory, and I've talked about that quite often. One day, when they find out the backstory about Richard Childress, they will be so impressed, because this is a guy that did it his way. He did it the hard way. He had nothing given to him. Everything that he's got, he earned it. And I know the story, and I know how he got there. And the more you know the backstory, the more impressed you would be.
That group that you were with as pit crew members back in the day, that group seemed to have a real cohesiveness among all of them. I mean, David Smith, all those guys that was on that pit crew back in the day, Cecil Gordon, y'all were just one great big group, and it seemed to be a group that worked well together and around each other.
You know, we did. I've told everybody, and I'm kind of laughed about it, the reason we were successful, it wasn't because we all liked each other. I think we all loved each other. Unfortunately, we've lost a couple of the guys that were a part of that deal. Horace Simpson passed away last weekend. I was involved at his funeral last Saturday, and Cecil Gordon we lost about a year ago. So we've lost a couple of them, but the rest of the group, the guys, we did. We had a special bond. We did it because we absolutely loved it. But my gosh, when you're working on a team like we were, when you had Richard and and all the success we were having, you had to love it. It was a lot of hard work, but man, the rewards were big time. And I have been so blessed to be a part of it, and so thankful. And I think about it a lot. It's just as hard to run bad as it is to run good. it's just as hard to never win a championship as it is to win a championship. And we were so fortunate to be a part of Dale's 7th one, 6 of them there at Richard Childress Racing. And, we've had this big conversation over the last few days about Jimmy Johnson, and believe me, Jimmy Johnson goes in the category of one of the greatest that's ever been. But the time that Jimmy's time is now. The difference between Jimmy's time and Dale's time and Richard's time are just light years apart. You can't compare what Dale did with what Richard Petty did with what Jimmy Johnson's doing right now. It's just hard to compare it. And people try to come up with these numbers and say, well, Jimmy's won 6 and he did it in 8 years and Dale took it. That means nothing, in my opinion. Absolutely nothing, because the difference the difference in time and the difference in technology, you can't compare the races.
I was, and I'm going to be honest about it, I wasn't a big Dale Earnhardt Sr. fan at one point, and I think I knew he had a lot of talent, he was the best at the time that I was coming along. But the thing about it is, one of the things that changed my opinion of him, I saw him at Indianapolis when he was hurt. He had a wreck the week before or whatever. He was hurt at Indianapolis, and they had to take him out of that car. And how he reacted to being taken out of that car just impressed me that this guy has a want to be there.
Yeah, dude, I'm just going to tell Dale Earnhardt loves to drive that race car. I'll tell you that right now, and he did a great job. And to be a part of that and to be around that, it was incredible. I'll tell you, Dale Earnhardt did some things that people just would not believe. He was very, very talented. He was talented because growing up, he watched his dad and he helped his dad, and his dad taught him how to drive that race car. And it was pretty awesome.
How did he interact with you all a lot when you were working there? Was he like one of the guys with you as the pit crew members and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. When we started doing this and we started being successful, we traveled together. And this is back when Dale started over there. There were no airplanes. You had a van, and a lot of times you went to the races together. Later on, we got successful and we had one airplane, and we shared that airplane, and you about had to have it. We were on the road so much and gone so much. But yeah, we'd get ready to go to the racetrack, and it would be Richard and Dale and Teresa, and me and David and Will and Kurt and Danny. We would all load up together, and we were the road crew and part of the pit crew, and we traveled together. And we did that for many, many years, and I spent a lot of time with that airplane together and going from racetrack to racetrack together. So we were more than friends. We were pretty much family, and it was great times.
One of the things you said a few minutes ago about knowing the backstory. The backstory on Dale Earnhardt Sr. Everybody knows him as the race car driver. Everybody knows him as the intimidator and all this that he did. But I heard he did a lot of things behind the scenes for people and help people out that people would be surprised to know if they knew all the stories.
I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty blessed, pretty fortunate that I only know 1 or 2 of them. I've heard he did a lot of things, and maybe he did. I don't know about it because he didn't want people to know about it, just like you said. But the ones that I do know about, I didn't know about them when they happened. It was years later when I found out about it, and believe me, they were pretty darn big. He was a guy that didn't want people to know, and he was a guy that did a lot of things out of the goodness of his heart, and he was a guy that knew and took care of some of his friends from the past. And he did a lot of things that nobody will ever know, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, he had a special bond with Neil Bonnet and those guys that he came along with, and he helped guys with getting tires. Like I know, he was helping folks all through the latter part of his career there. He was helping different people, and nobody knew that was going on.
Well, I got to tell you, Neil Bonnet was a dear friend and a great guy at the racetrack, and he certainly didn't have to help Neil. They were just good friends. But when Neil came over and had been injured, and decided to go back racing, and we were able to put Neil Bonnet in one of those black 3 cars and go racing. It was good stuff to see Neil Bonnet with a smile on his face. And, they were dear friends. Hunting buddies is what they were, and that was good. Now, they were fierce competitors on the racetrack. I tell you, Dale didn't have a lot of friends on the racetrack. He didn't want to. He was like the baseball player that don't want to be friends with any of the hitters. The pitcher never wants to be friends with the hitters because you don't want to be friends with a guy who's got to throw a baseball in. Dale Earnhardt didn't want to be friends with the guys on the racetrack because he wanted to race them as racers and not race them as friends. And I think that was a good thing.
I know it was really tough back in the days when him and Darrell Waltrip, the rivalry they had. That was just, I think it was great for the sport, and then they turned out to be real good friends.
Yeah, that was, it was a rivalry for a while, and, we got pretty hot and heavy up there at Richmond when Dale and Darrell wrecked up there, and they did turn out to be pretty good friends and towards the end of Dale's career, and Darrell's a great guy, he's a great ambassador for the sport.
Well, Chocolate, we're going to let you get back to what you were doing. We appreciate your time tonight, and hopefully we can get you back on here and hear some more stories about Dale Earnhardt and Richard Childress and some more times you've had in your career.
Yeah, would you like for me to tell you what I'm doing tonight?
What are you doing tonight?
Putting up a Christmas tree.
Oh, man.
No wonder he keeps talking.
so you won't no hurry to get off the phone.
Quick, man.
We can always call you back in about another 20 minutes and put you back on again.
All right, guys. Thank you, man.
We appreciate it. Thanks a lot for your time, and we'll get back with you again.
All right, bye-bye.
I'll text you later, Chocolate. Bye.
I'd like to hear some of his jokes that Senior used to pull on people.
Oh, he used to pull some stuff now. I ain't kidding.
Yeah, he was quite the practical joker.
I remember a time I called Senior an asshole right to his face. And we laughed. So the whole story behind that's a good one.
There's been some guys that talk about the pit crew. There was a guy on his pit crew named Kluka. His last name was Kluka. And since Dale Sr. died, he's moved around from team to team. He's not really. And he fell out of a plane.
I think I've heard
He fell out of a plane in Carolina.
Landon, right?
No, it was. He was. Well, I mean, it may have been in a descent to land, but he was in the air when he fell out.
Yeah. But
and they said Dale Earnhardt asked him at the racetrack. He said, "How did it feel to fall out of a plane?" He said, "I fell out of a plane. Damn it! What do you expect?" And I've talked to him a couple of times, and he's crazy. This guy's crazy.
Is he?
And he's Dale Earnhardt. He used to aggravate me all the time with that. It won't funny I fell out the plane.
How did you even do that?
I don't have a clue. I didn't ask no questions.
I mean, did the door open itself?
I don't know. I don't have a clue. But it was funny. Because he was at the Wood Brothers when Lee was at Wood Brothers. And they would sit around and tell stories, and this guy would just tell some stories like you wouldn't believe. And he's told that story about falling out. I thought it was a joke. But it actually happened. It actually did happen.
Who was he in the plane with?
It was a whole bunch of them were in that plane. They were going somewhere and coming back to Charlotte. You know, they had gone somewhere and come back to Charlotte, I mean.
Yeah, is this Tim? Hello, is this Tim? Good. You ready for the show? Alright, I'm going to put you on hold and we'll get you on. Okay.
Tim Plogger, how you doing tonight, bud?
Great, how you doing?
I'm good. This is Scott. I'm with Jack Dawson. We got Cody Carlton here. You got a Raceway Arena and Roger Brehm. Thanks for coming on the show. We kind of wanted to get you on to get a perspective of the sponsor side. So, can you give us a little bit of background and sponsorship of what you've done or how you kind of got started in it? We know you've been with Koger for a long time.
Yeah, we actually got started with Kevin Harvick about 5 or 6 years ago, and it was a deal to put together in 10 days at Martinsville. And then when he ran the bounty truck, the race got rained out on Saturday, and he won the race on Sunday. And if you look at the diecast market now, that's still one of the most popular diecast trucks it is that bounty truck, because Kevin signed all of them, and he won in that truck. So that sort of started our deal with Kevin. And we worked with Kevin for about 6 or 7 years. Of course, he finally last year shut down KHI and sold everything off. And but we're very fortunate to, still keep a relationship with Kevin now, as he moved on in the Cup, now moving to Stewart Halls. And just been really excited. He's a really great guy to work with, really down to earth, and understands the business side of racing, but probably better than any driver out there right now. But we were very fortunate. We won 3 races in 3 different trucks with him. We won the bounty race in Martinsville. We ran the orange tie truck and won, and we ran the blue tie truck and won. And also did some stuff with him nationwide with KHI, with Stewart and the Oreo car. Won a couple of Daytona nationwide races, and we're working on a deal right now for next year for 14. Kevin's going to run 10 nationwide races for JR Motorsports since he's leaving RCR and going to Stewart Haas. Stewart Haas doesn't have a nationwide program. So he's going to run 10 races with Motorsports, and we actually got waiting on the contract. I thought it was going to sign by now, but it's probably going to be signed by Friday, where we're going to announce something for the Richmond Spring race with Kevin and JR Motorsports.
You can tell us. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, I thought I could tell you tonight, but it's not signed yet. So I thought they were going to sign it yesterday, and we didn't get the signature on the contract. So hopefully by Friday.
Now, are you gonna have Todd or somebody else in a truck race for the Koger 200 and the 250?
We don't know yet. We're working with Anderson, the Maple Syrup, on some stuff for next year. But I will tell you that the Harvick nationwide car at Richmond will probably be the sharpest paint scheme in the nationwide series of 2014.
We'll have to be there. Check that out.
Yeah, we'll definitely be there. Now, I remember talking to your wife, Tim, and y'all were invited to go to, when Harvick won the truck championship, to sit at the head table at one time, and you turned that down.
I couldn't. Yeah, the first year I couldn't go. Now we went to a couple of the the Camping World Series and the Nationwide Series the same night, the same banquet in Miami.
Oh yeah.
We've been to that 2 or 3 times, and it's a good function to go to. The thing I like about Kevin is Hornaday won 2 truck series when we did some sponsorship with him. And then last year, before he sold KHI off, the 2 truck with Kevin and several different drivers actually won the Owners Championship. So we were fortunate enough to get 3 championship rings from KHI in 7 years.
Doug, so what do you look for so far as when you want to sponsor something? What are some of the things that you look for in a driver or in a team?
Well, we do a lot with Kevin, like I said, because he understands the business side. So many sponsors get into racing and don't use, what they have available to them, the assets from a driver to move product through all retail outlets. The sponsors got to tie the race program to moving cases through retail, or it doesn't pan out. Just to put a car or a truck on the track and run around and get TV exposure doesn't pay the bills. So that's one thing. Even back in the old days when Procter & Gamble had a tie car with Ricky Rudd and different drivers, Ricky Craven. P&G understood that better than any sponsor was out there. They had programs going every race weekend that was tied to how many cases of tie a retailer ordered. They had premiums like jackets, tickets to the race, different things that you could get if you order X amount of cases. They did a really good job. That's why they stayed in the sport so long, because they used the racing program to drive sales through retail outlets.
Now, how much longer are you guys going to be sponsoring the Martinsville race?
Our contract through the truck race runs 2 more years. We just re-upped for 3 years. This for the first year. So we get 2 more years on that contract for both of the truck races at Martinsville. And then we have we just re-signed Richmond Speedway to be the official grocery store there for another year, which will make about our 5th year. And then something new this year for Richmond and Martinsville, we're going to have on-site stores Wednesday through Sunday at both tracks.
Yeah, I seen that this year at Richmond. Y'all had it, and you could actually pre-order, and it would either be ready for you, or would y'all deliver it, or was it an order just ready for you to pick up?
Right, it'd be ready to pick up. We're going to do the same thing in Martinsville in the spring.
I have to remember that.
When you were dealing with Kevin Harvick, you say he was good with the sponsors and good in working with him. Was it because he was such a good business owner himself when he was running KHI that he understood what he had to do to promote his company and the company of the sponsor?
Exactly. Kevin understood that from day one because he owned KHI. So he was used to dealing with sponsors and hearing what sponsors needed and being able to tie them to retail sales to make them happy to keep them coming back to KHI sponsor. You know, if you look at one of his longest running sponsors, it's Hunt Brothers Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you go in any convenience store, you'll see a Kevin Harvick stand-up, Hunt Brothers outfit on, and they have online prizes. You accumulate points by buying pizzas. And they've done a really good job of using their product and Kevin to drive sales at retail, which keeps them happy and their return on investment on the racing program.
Cool.
We're all searching for questions here.
just so much information out here.
Yeah.
Well, who other than Kevin Harvick, who are some of the drivers that you worked with that you thought was pretty good as far as helping the sponsors out?
Cody Stewart's really good with sponsors. He understands it, you know, he's the owner now, so he understands the business side of it too. That's really all we really work with is Kevin and Tony. We've done some stuff with Horner Day. We're on Horner Day, and he understood it too because he was working for KHI. But Kevin is a very sharp, very sharp businessman.
Are you going to do anything with Danica? What do you think about Danica being in the sport, and how does that help sponsorship and sponsorship dollars like for GoDaddy?
I think it's great she's in the sport. It brings a lot of attention, you know, brings the female fans in, and what I've seen is really exciting is the younger kids, the little girls that wearing Danica stuff, and
mm-hmm.
yeah, I think she's brought a lot of new fans to the sport, especially younger kids, younger little girls.
Right. Yeah. You do see a lot of green shirts around there, and it's surprising how many men that really just hate her being in the sport. Surprisingly.
Well, I mean, that's a stigma we see a lot of times women have to battle anyway, is getting into the men's sport of racing. And I personally know several females that have tried to go out there, and just simply because it is so hard to get sponsors lined up just to get themselves running, and they run pretty good. But the thing is, they can't continue to keep it going.
Yeah, you know, she's fortunate to have that relationship with GoDaddy where she got the full sponsorship. So I really look for her to run a little bit better next year. You know, they went through a lot this year, adding a third full-time car and the new Gen 6 car. They got a little bit behind on that from what I hear, and it threw them behind to like mid-year. So
how do you think it's going to work out next year with the whole dynamic over there at Stewart Haas with Bush and Kurt and Tony and Kevin?
I think you'll be fine. You know, the wild card Kurt Bush.
Yeah.
Well, it was not many years ago we were saying that about Tony now. Come on.
Yeah, I know. You know, believe it or not, I've seen him change since he's now on the underside. You know, he got a little bit more stake in it and a little bit more responsibility to the sponsors and the people paying the bills.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to be. Honestly, I think it's going to be a good thing over there. You know, they're all so passionate about running well. I know a lot of people think it may not, but I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to turn out to be a good thing, honestly.
Yeah, I think they'll be pretty strong right out the gate.
Yeah, yeah. I hope so, anyway. Well, I look forward to going back to Martinsville to the truck race. Maybe I can get, you know, anybody can get come up and watch the race in the suite?
I might have somebody.
But I get invited up every once in a while. So.
Well, hey, look at it this way. You can always go in the press box with us, okay?
Yeah.
You can be up there watching.
Well, I was hoping I could get Koger on my race car, but it ain't gonna work. I ain't pushing enough cases through, I guess.
That's right.
Maybe I need to send him a thing from us and put him on the show. I might get with you, maybe get a small advertisement. We'll throw it up there for gratis for having you on here.
Yeah, we might go do that. We might go do some advertising.
But we appreciate you having you on, Tim. I appreciate you calling in. It was fun to kind of have you on there. I know we've known each other for a long time.
He seems like pretty fun. We got to have him back on again.
It's good. It's fun to get the different side of the sport, you know, because me and Cody here, we race those arena cars that I kind of emailed you about. And it's always wondering what is the sponsorship looking for? You know, what can we do to get those resources to make it good for a sponsor? These are hard questions because none of us, we're not PR people.
Right.
Hey, Tim, we have something we haven't done tonight, and I just remembered it. We always have a little segment where we talk about food. Now, you've traveled around with all the different races. Have you ever had an In-N-Out burger?
Yeah, I've had In-N-Out burger.
What do you think?
They're pretty good. They're not as good as the Martinsville hot dogs, but they're pretty good.
There you go. There you go. I like that.
I've had Martinsville hot dogs, and I haven't had an In-N-Out burger, though. One of these days I'll get out that way.
All right, Ted. Thank you. I appreciate you having you. You got something?
All right.
No.
All right, have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. Bye.
He was pretty funny. I mean, when I first met him, it was kind of a funny story. When I first met him, I told y'all that I fixed his TV, and he was telling me he was sponsoring the race and sponsoring Kevin in the race. And he said, "I hear you're a Kevin Harvick fan." I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, I'll take you to meet Kevin." And so, I mean, he literally took us over to meet Kevin before he got in the truck to race the truck. He won, and it took us to victory lane and got us to get up on stage and get our picture taken. But we got to watch the race from Clay Campbell's suite. To watch the race, which is a beautiful view of the racetrack, and I mean, you got M&Ms, you got food in the bathroom there. Of course, whoever bigwigs are coming in for the race that weekend, they come in, you know, they come into Clay's suite. So it was a pretty neat deal from fixing the guy's TV on Friday afternoon to Saturday, being able to watch the race from Clay Campbell's suite, and going to victory lane and meeting Kevin before the race started. This is where we come back to you, though. We see the best for last. At least that's what they told me when I came.
We tell you any lies.
Look, now you're on the show.
Right. They ain't that smart. I mean, they let me come back.
Well, I don't know. You ain't that bad.
Yeah.
If we can stand to live with it, we're all right.
Right. So, you guys started, I didn't know you started in junior dragsters.
Yep.
How long did you run those things?
Probably about a year. That was it.
So you got bored?
Got bored of it, man.
Yeah. Cody's like me, he's a little ADD. He's worse than me.
Yeah, I'm steady moving on something.
But you did the Pro 6 this summer.
Yep.
First race out of the gate, he won.
Yep. I was
You did
very
pretty
surprised
well.
at that, but, you know.
Cody's a pretty good wheelman.
Racing
He's a little crazy, but he's a pretty good wheelman.
All right, Dave.
I'm pretty aggressive.
Now, you've been running these arena cars for a while, for a little while, haven't you? Been
About 5 or 6 years now.
All right, you were out there probably when Travis and,
Yep.
and Derek were
I
racing.
used to be their predecessor.
You ain't getting no arguments with them.
Oh, we did.
Oh, God.
Hey, Cody gets an argument with everybody there about.
I try not to.
That won't you
most of the
got
time.
in an argument with at Hampton one night when everybody was fighting over in the middle of the track.
Oh, it probably was. I was probably in the middle of it.
That was the funniest day. Travis and them got into a fight, and I was in the pit area, and everybody was jumping across trying to get into the middle of the track while they were, and everybody was fighting. I mean, and I was just walking down through there, and some guy just come out of the clear blue sky and jumped right up in my face. Well, I just picked him up and pitched him out of the way, and kept on walking because I wasn't trying to get into the fight. It got to Charlotte before I could get back out of that track that I done threw some guy out of the...
Dang.
My son called me on my cell phone, Dad, how you done throw somebody out of the track up there? So that might have been not you.
I probably won in the middle of that one.
You won in the middle of that one.
Nah, but they didn't like me. Derek's crew chief told me one time he's going to take that I'd better bring some milk cartons to the racetrack next week because I was going to take my car home in it. I wrecked him again the next week.
That's one thing I can say about Cody. I love him. Cody ain't scared. He don't care if he's got to fix it all week. He's not scared.
Nope.
But Cody's pretty successful at arena racing. Did it start out that way, or did you start out like me?
No, it didn't start out that way.
So I don't feel that bad.
But that's with anything. You can't just jump into something and set the world on fire. But unless you got the right people behind you, but I didn't have nobody behind me. I had to do everything. I set the car up. I drove the car. I tried to find sponsors. I'm still, it's still like that pretty much. I've just been pretty grateful to have Andy, my crew chief, there ever since he came on board about 3 years ago, we've been pretty much the dominant car of arena racing. So
you had to do a whole lot of work.
But I didn't win a whole bunch of races when I first started. Back then they had C mains and D mains, and now it's just A and B mains. So
there's a lot more cars.
It's been from running the C main and winning them to now we're finally up in the A main. Winning consistently in there. So.
And making the top dog.
Oh yeah, top dog every week, unless somebody wrecks us out, or we have very rarely we'll have a mechanical failure, but you can't do nothing about.
All right, now y'all just have 3 races?
No, we only had one.
We just
one
had
race.
one.
I thought you said it was 3. Y'all had 3 races.
Well, there's
three races in one night.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, got you. Oh, I knew there was more races in one night. Okay, now you done been up there one weekend. Scott Perlman won the top dog last time, right?
Yep.
So right now he is the top dog in there.
Well, he's leading the points over me by 3 points.
So you two guys are gonna battle it out during the year.
Pretty much.
Are you good
they battled it out last year.
Are you pretty good friends with Scott? Or
we're not too bad.
It depends on what part of the season it is.
Last year, there was me and his crew chief and my crew chief. We were just clashing at the end of the season last year, and his crew chief got him into a lot of trouble, out on the track because I didn't like his crew chief. So, and I told Scott Perlman, right off the bat, I said, something happens during the race, it ain't because of you, it's because of your crew chief. And
which was so funny when I showed up there to get some parts from Jason that you
were
there. I was like,
there hanging out,
it's like.
Hey man,
uncharted territory
you
here.
You got to use your resources how you can, But yeah, I took him out in the last race I ran last year, and he wasn't very happy about it. But I think we're all right now. He keeps asking me to come work for him, to be a welder, but I just don't. I like welding on race cars and stuff like that, like I do now, and he's more of a industrial type fab guy, so. I'm just not looking to get involved in that, but I think we're good.
Okay, well.
Do you have an advertisement on the bottom of your car in case you roll upside down?
No, I don't, because something, I've only flipped over a arena car twice in the 6 years I've been racing them. Knock on this piece of wood right here.
Well, he says that next Saturday he'll be older. I think I was the only one crazy enough to do that.
Well, how did the car count look for the first race this year?
It wasn't bad. We had
not as good as I thought it would be.
It ain't. And it hasn't.
I think 18 cars. I think 18 cars is what we had.
Yep,
I thought we were going
to
see. I thought we were going to see 20 to 25. I was kind of.
Well, Ricky Dennis claimed there was going to be 29, but you can't never believe nothing he says. Some stuff is there, but
you got to remember this is going to be.
I don't care.
It's going to be played 100 times.
I'm not scared.
Well, no, you're right about that.
But I'm impressed with the lights and stuff.
Yeah, which is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
They interviewed us under camera, and they're supposed to be. It wasn't last week, but I think from here on out, it's supposed to be live. So you'll be able to watch it on the internet live.
Yep.
And they got TV cameras to interview us, and which is pretty cool.
So you're both in agreement that you like being in Richmond, but would you rather be back down?
That's
100%.
Yeah. I think we'd have a bigger crowd. Actually, I think we'd have a bigger crowd, and I think we'd have a bigger car count. honestly.
Yep.
We may not have the sponsors that Ricky probably can get up there compared to what we would get here, but I definitely think the car count would be up, and I think the attendance would be up.
All right, well, tell us a little bit about who you got sponsoring you. And
Not a whole lot, man. Like I said, it's just basically a me type thing, but I got a couple people helping me so far. I got Snap-on, my independent dealer, the guy that comes around with the truck. He gives me a little bit, and
Is that why you're wearing a Snap-on shirt?
yeah, he gives me all this stuff, so I wear it. But him and a company called Ace Sheet Metal, they do duct work and stuff for air conditioning and door engineering. They build doors and stuff like that, and that's pretty much it, man.
well, you said earlier that you're in the circle track racing, and you can always see yourself racing.
Oh yeah.
Where do you want to go down the road? I mean, are you projecting down the road what you'd like to do?
It's kind of, sort of, but I kind of just like to live in the present and, live it up while I'm doing it and not try to think about what's going to happen later on or whatever. I mean, I have goals and stuff, but, I don't really see myself getting anywhere as a driver in racing, but I'm a pretty good fab guy, so I think, if I'm ready for it and I'm ready to move down to Mooresville, I think I can get a job in the fab
When did
shop.
your son go to school down there? You might have went to school with Lee.
Lee, I think, went to Hickory, didn't he?
No,
but,
he was in Hickory, yeah.
Yeah, but I think he went to the NASCAR school, right?
No, he went to Hickory to the Bobby Isaac school.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, he was in Hickory.
I got you.
Yeah, that would have been the smarter thing to do, but
No, really?
you live and you learn.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about back then about NASCAR technical and the Bobby Isaac school and a couple others that they had at the time, but they say the NASCAR technical, the guys, for some reason they didn't come out to be what they wasn't what they were looking for when they come out of there. Whereas when they come out of Hickory, out of the Bobby Isaac school, they were more inclined to be able to train them their way.
Well, I would imagine probably NASCAR advertised to anybody and everybody, so you got people that wannabes that had no idea about racing.
That's the problem with that.
Whereas like me and Cody come up, well, I'm say Cody, I'm a lot older than Cody, but come up and we were at the racetrack. So once you go to the school, you have some premise or an idea of how it works.
Yeah, but they've always said that they would rather have a guy they can train their way. The teams now, I'm talking about the teams themselves. They have a guy that they can train them. So a lot of guys that come out, and it's a known fact. A lot of the guys that come out of the NASCAR technical don't really get hooked up with race teams very often. And it's just not, they're not in a position or whatever to go to a race team, where the guys that went to Hickory, and I think there's one in Danville now, where they get bits and pieces of everything that goes on with a race car, everything that goes on with a race team. They get a little piece of it, and then when they go to the race team itself, they are able to be trained by the team. The team wants to train them their way instead of what NASCAR says.
So when you go through the school, you don't just become like a front end guy or learn that specialty.
They give you pretty much an all over training.
Oh yeah, you get everything.
Well,
Fab.
You need to have Alan on for this question in line because he went to it. Alan Smith. He works. He's in this area. He's got a business called Mobile Mechanic. And he's been through the NASCAR Technical Institute, gone through all that, and as you said, they don't always get jobs.
And
you live in proof, right, Cody?
Well, I didn't really try to get a job down there, you know what I mean? I was coming home every weekend while I was in school, and I don't know, just a lot of opportunities for me here, so.
So are you trying to race anything next summer? Or this
I'm
summer?
not sure what the plans are for next summer. I mean, I don't know, with the Pro 6 car, I think he's going to put his son in it for this year. And
yeah, I think it's kind of
I'll probably be racing Wing Champs again for Tommy Jackson. And so far,
if anybody's got a car, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Put it out there.
If anybody sponsors, anybody got a car they want me to drive, bring it on.
I mean, we've hooked up people before. I've got some friends in Nationwide Series that probably hooked up for over $300,000 worth of sponsorships from people
Wow.
who've been on the show.
That's crazy.
If we could just get a little bit of that, right? We'd be all right.
Yeah, if only I had a little better people skills, but
10%, you'd be rolling.
That's probably
with that.
about the only thing I would say to hold you back. Also, Cody's not really the good PR person.
Nah. I need to let somebody else take care of that for me.
Look, yeah, Cody's pretty rough. Me, I try to be fairly clean. I there was one race last year. This was pretty fun. I laugh about it, and I really didn't understand what you said at the beginning. I was racing Jason Maines, and I was leading the race, and he took the cone and beat me. And I gave him too much room. Cody comes over and says, "You need to grow some balls." I think Jim had just got out of the race car. And I just started laughing, and it was like, in some ways you're right. I need to be more aggressive than because when I first come in, I didn't want to be the guy that wrecks somebody and lose some respect.
Wants to be that guy.
You know, I wanted to come in and give everybody more room than what they needed to earn their respect and know that they could race beside me and not be worried about tearing up. And I think I've earned that now, and I think most people will.
When you get into stuff like that, you got to make sure you're going to be putting out that message that you also
the
can't
rookies I didn't
screw
really care
with me
about,
either.
but so far as everybody
The veterans, you don't
the
want to
veterans
make
in the
mad.
sport. And I think it pays off in some ways, but everybody has a different theory. Dylan told me, he's like, I could have took you out one time, but I just couldn't take you out.
Yeah. Nobody wants to take out the nice guy.
Yeah, I'll say that. That's why I wrecked me.
Watch out, this week you're going to get it.
Both of y'all
But
will be in trouble
we're going
this
to be more
weekend.
aggressive, I will say that. I can't be too much aggressive with Cody because he helps me work on my car, so.
This
That's probably
weekend,
why he does it.
this weekend or next Wednesday, we'll be hearing the escapades of those two guys.
I'm gonna get up there to watch a race for a long time.
You guys got to come up.
Yeah, man.
I haven't been to. I went to one last year.
I think it's great fun. And we had Miles, I mean, there were two sponsors in Joe's Cornhole Boards. We got a set of cornhole boards. They're going to have a contest in the middle of the race next week and give those away. But we had 31 employees from between the two companies that come up, which was pretty big. And most of them are going to try to come most of the races, which was just exciting for us. So
I just can't get into the Richmond thing.
it sucks.
I mean, I'm not.
I mean, there's no two ways about it. It sucks.
In my job, my real job
He's retired.
that I was in Richmond a lot.
Oh, were you? Okay.
And I just cannot get into the Richmond thing. Richmond just doesn't do anything for me at all.
I will say, and Cody probably feels the same way, the Richmond drivers or crews, they seem to get more than we get, or more attention than we get. And we're coming the furthest. We probably bring the most cars and put on most of the show, I would say.
You know, all the officiating is from Southside, so that's pretty close to Richmond. And a lot of the guys that run arena now race at Southside.
Yeah. But next week I'm gonna run up there with Cody and those guys. I didn't purposely run in the B main.
They'll be alright.
But we're gonna get there.
Well, I'm going to get up there for long.
Well, see, now you got some interest. You can watch me and Cody go.
Yeah, I'll have to come out to. You just have to.
You can watch Cody wreck somebody and me beat him.
No, man, come on. Why do I gotta be that guy?
That's because you knocked on the wood, so you're in trouble. That's what it is.
Well, I tell you, if I go up there, I'm gonna get down and I'm gonna talk to Scott Perlman. I'm gonna say, look, Cody got on the show and said you was an ass. I'm gonna build it up really good.
Get it going.
And don't worry, Mark Potter already builds everything.
Yeah, he does. Mark does. Mark will stir the pot in a minute.
Well, I'm gonna make it even better.
But Scott's not. I don't think Scott is as aggressive as he used to be.
Let me tell you something. I have seen Scott get upset, and
believe me, I have too.
he can get really wound up. So, matter of fact, I'm gonna call him and see if I can get him on the show tonight, and I'm gonna get him and talk about him.
Get him kick-started already. Here we go.
Let me just have Jason on. He would talk more trash.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to have an arena driver every week.
Okay, well, I'm going to call Scott. I'm going to try to get a hold of Scott Perlman and get him in here. And I'm going to
Go ahead.
I'm going to say, look.
He's like, oh, man, I don't know if I can make it.
Yeah.
He's a good old country boy, dude.
Yeah. I could tell you a couple stories, but I won't do that here. So.
Well, we can wind down and catch him after that. How's that?
It's some wild stuff. Because Lee was working with Travis and when they were doing the Hooters Cup racing. And Scott was the crew chief with the Hooters Cup car.
They never had too much success with that, did they?
No, they really didn't have the overall success, but I'm going to just put it out there. Travis Miller, I'm sorry, he just did not have it. Okay? I'm serious.
I'm with you on that one.
Because he just did not have what it takes to race in Hooters Cup. I mean, he had his bright moments where he got a pole or he ran up front for a little while or whatever. But if you ever put any pressure on him,
oh, he would lose it.
Ball game's over. And I think Mr. Miller, or Matt, got a little tired of that, and he pulled the plug on it. So that's it. I'm done with it.
The only thing I think we need is arena. We need rivalry, honestly.
Well, I tell you what, we're gonna get one started.
I was gonna start start winning because I told the guys we worked in the car on Wednesday, and I said, we're gonna make the A main, and I feel like we probably got a 3rd to 5th place car, and we still got a little more work to do. But I said if I get in that 3rd place and get to because where they talk to you, I said I'm gonna badmouth Jason Maines for sandbagging with such a good car that he has to run in the B main.
Yeah, he bought Scott Perlman's championship car last year.
I mean, even last year, and I can't say so much because I did the same thing last year, but I was nowhere near in the category as Cody Carlton. I mean, I would say Jason probably had a top 3 to 5 car last year, and would just sandbag and run in the B main with guys like me and a bunch of other guys. But
okay, well, I got my job cut out for me this week. I'm gonna go ahead and start this rivalry. And then I'm gonna go to Richmond and I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna talk some trash up there too.
And then you're gonna sit back in your seat, drink beer, and laugh the whole time.
Bring a video camera so you get everything.
I had nothing to do with all this.
Oh God. But anywho, hopefully everybody enjoyed the show tonight. We're still cranking on, and we're pretty sure it'll keep going right after we shut down too. We'll catch everybody next weekend, next Wednesday, whichever day it is. We'll find it out. Heads up, we already got Bill Lester going to be on. He'll be on at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So we were busy sitting here texting while y'all were talking. That's why I didn't do as many questions tonight. Anyway, we'll catch everybody next week, same time, same place. Same whatever.
And Scott, I'm going to be in touch with you.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Timothy Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Driver of the 33 NASCAR Late Model, 2011 Old Dominion Speedway Track Champion. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm Sam Hunt, driver of the 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety Wear, Butler built seats, bell helmets, hooker harness seat belts, number 94 at South Boston Speedway. Be sure to listen to Let's Talk Racing